Mr. Esper, first of all, I want to thank you for your service to our country, to your family. I recognize that this is one of those challenging times in which you have tried to fill a couple of different positions all at the same time. But your work and your background makes you eminently qualified for the position that we're considering today. I wanted to ask a couple of questions here with regard to that background, which I think helps, but I'm not sure that you've had an opportunity to share with the public. There has been some concern expressed about your time working for Raytheon. I'm curious, though, if you can discuss the insights that you have developed and how this period of your life would inform your decision-making should you be confirmed as Secretary of Defense.
Senator, my years in business really gave me a breadth of experience and knowledge about what makes industry tick, what motivates them. The previous question we had from Senator Cotton, I got a rich understanding of the supply chain, how important it is, and yet how fragile it is at the same time. I understand well what motivates companies in order to grow and change and adapt. And you also get a good understanding of how they organize to address work. You understand their frustrations with DoD bureaucracy and where the possible fixes may be. And so all those things and more, I think, really enabled me as Army Secretary to look hard at all of our programs and to make sure that we got them in the right place. And I will tell you, of the 18 or 19 or so major defense programs that we had, nearly all of them, but maybe one or two, were meeting cost, schedule, and performance because myself and others like Undersecretary McCarthy had brought to the table a business background that helped us understand. In some cases, we leveraged that certainly to stop production or stop acceptance of certain items, and all those things we leveraged to make sure that we got to the warfighter the tools and weapons equipment they need, and we were and try to be very good stewards of the taxpayer's dollar at the same time.
Let's go to cyberspace for just a minute. We fight not just in the air, on land, on sea, undersea, space, but cyberspace as well. And you have worked as a Secretary of the Army during a time in which cyber has become part of the focal point with regard to our defense strategies. There is a clear understanding that we can always do better and that we divide this out in both defensive and offensive capabilities. You've received some new tools and some new capabilities in the last couple of months. You've got a new presidential directive which replaced PPD 20, which allows you some latitude. You've also got section, I believe it's 1632 of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2018, where you are provided with the use of identifying cyber activities outside of a war zone as traditional military activities. Secretary Spencer of the Navy was recently criticized a little bit, and I think unjustly, for laying out a very timely report in which he identified all of the major challenges that the Department of the Navy has concerning cyber activity. I think he could have used any one of the different departments and come up with the same result. Could you share a little bit with us your thoughts about what our needs are and how serious the threats are with regard to cyber operations, cybersecurity, both defensive and offensive capabilities, and where you see that going with regard to cyber and its connection with the rest of the different domains?
Senator, clearly cyber is a domain of warfare. We are at war, if you will, in the cyber domain now, constantly battling countries such as Russia or China, who are trying to do everything from steal our technology to influence elections, to put out disinformation about the United States. I think on the defensive side, we remain vulnerable, whether it's as a government or in the private sector. You just asked about my experience in the private sector, is that the private sector is also vulnerable. On the offensive side, I think we have a lot of capabilities, but policy had not caught up until, as you said, the passage of NSPM 13. Probably more needs to be done. We need to remain vigilant on that front. And I'm talking at the strategic level. It also applies at the tactical level as well. The Army has done remarkable work, if you will, before preceding me in terms of standing up Army Cyber Command, creating cyber MOSs, creating a cyber officer corps, and really employing those tools at both the tactical and operational level as well. We just have to get used to the fact that this is a new domain of warfare. that we'll probably be in constant conflict with countries below the threshold of kinetic conflict.
Yep.
And that's just the way the world will be from now on. And we have to continue to develop and make sure that we retain cutting-edge capabilities and overmatch in that area.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.